We are live. So, the purpose of this live is going to be primarily to answer any questions from elite members that are in our online training platform. I like to do these once in a while, and plus, there's other reasons why I have to be doing this live right now. In case you're wondering why I'm not smoking a cigar, it is cold outside, and I don't want to sit out there, so I'm indoors today. Dream Dogs, thank you very much. Some news, I guess. So I have my Herder 4.0 litter on the ground. We've got that was Chico to Juice. If you're wondering who Chico and who Juice is, they're on the YouTube channel. They're on the Instagram. You guys can see who those dogs are. We had 4 puppies, 3 males, 1 female. So far they're very healthy. So we're very excited about that. Chico and Juice. TT WTF is up has question mark. I don't know, man. What's up with you? You love my book? Awesome. I'm glad you like the book. I am going to be working on an edit for that book where we add more stuff about puppy training. The book primarily focuses on dogs like 6 months and up. So I'm going to be doing an edit where I add all the puppy training into that book as well. So yeah, this is primarily, again, it's geared to elite members that want to ask me questions in relation to the online courses. As I was saying, Chico and Juice have puppies, and you know what? This is the first litter that I've legitimately been concerned that it's too much. I'm legitimately concerned it's too much because like Chico is like, and I don't use the word extreme lightly. Chico has extreme drive, right? Extreme prey drive, super nerves, nice grips, everything, like speed, everything that you want in a dog, hardness. And Juice has extreme drive, super pushing grips. This is going to be one hell of a herder litter. It is going to be a scary herder litter. I was hoping for a lot more puppies, and Juice was super big, so I thought there would be more puppies in the litter. Only 4 puppies. So initially I was planning on offering a few for sale. Now I might offer 1 for sale, and that's it, 1 male. The others, I think I'll keep them, and we'll train them here and see what comes of them. But I'm a little bit concerned. Like those puppies are they will be insane. Just the drive in both the parents, the pedigrees of both the parents is going to be absolutely crazy. Lorraine Harvey asks, can we purchase the book at your Guelph location? The answer to that question is yes. KT asks, who is the long-haired female German Shepherd? Has she had her puppies yet, or is it next month? Unfortunately, Hurricane did not take. We made the breeding too late, and we thought we were on time. We were not. So unfortunately, we missed Hurricane's heat, and she will not have puppies. I've had bad luck with breeding lately, just like a lot of dogs not taking. I had another female that I took into the vet today, and I was going to breed her with Chico, and unfortunately, you know, turns out she had cysts on her ovaries, and like she's going to be completely fine, but just can't be bred anymore, you know? So I've had a bit of a rough patch when it comes to breeding. I have 1 litter on the ground right now, but that's going to be going to all the people that are on my puppy list. So let's see here. How do I get my Malinois puppy to stop biting? Joking. Love your content, bro. All right, good. Good. I was internally rolling my eyes. Kevin says, daily vlogs coming up, just day in the life. Podcasts are fantastic. Kevin, my whole channel is basically, you know, pieces of my daily life, you know, whether it's running a seminar, doing bite work, you know, obedience training, training my own personal dogs, whatever else. I haven't had like an official vlog, but if you look at my channel, it's all pretty much like what I'm doing day to day. Let's see here, what else? The book is also available on Amazon. That is very true. It is available on Amazon. Matthew Martyr, love your content has. I'm a trainer from Richmond Hill looking to expand past pet training into working dogs breeding. It would be an honor to work with you one day. Well, Matthew, I wish you much success in your life and in your goals. What is drive? What is temperament? Well, drive is the internal desire a dog has to obtain something. Whether that thing is I mean, typically when we speak about working dogs, there are two drives that are referred to: ball drive, right? Toy drive, the drive the dog has, to play with toys, to hunt for toys, to possess toys, right? And there's a lot of things in drive. Drive is a very generic statement, right? Like, what do we mean? A lot of times when someone says a dog has high drive, what they mean is the dog has certain drive in a certain area, but not maybe a general high drive. So, like, just to make this as fast as I can, when it comes to drive, okay, when it comes to prey drive, there are a number of pieces to prey drive. There's arousal, okay, how quickly and how easily does the dog go into a state of arousal for the thing. So an example would be, if there's a ball on the ground, okay, like let's say your dog's walking and she sees a ball just lying on the ground. Does she look at the ball and go, oh, ball? Or does she see the ball and go, ball, ah, start screaming? And this would be, a dog that has a high natural, the dog has thin threshold for arousal and very high natural arousal, versus the dog that goes, oh, it's a ball, maybe interesting, maybe not, doesn't really care one way or the other. Then the other part is the pursuit. Okay, how fast does the dog, how committed is the dog in their pursuit of that prey? If I throw the ball over a cliff, does the dog stop at the edge of the cliff, or is the dog so focused and intense and committed to that pursuit that the dog throws herself from the cliff? That is not a joke. Okay, that's what I mean. Like, a lot of people don't understand drive, right? That is not a joke. There are some dogs that will hurl themselves from the cliff knowing that the cliff is there. Such is the level of commitment to that drive satisfaction that they have. And then the grip, okay? How committed is the dog to gripping and possessing the object in question, all right? Toy, tug, whatever, ball, tug, whatever, okay? So there are a number of portions, that we look at when it comes to drive, but a dog should show, if we're gonna say a dog has high drive, a dog should show a full spectrum of these things: the arousal, the pursuit, the grip, the possession, okay? And then food drive as well, okay? There are plenty of dogs that are working dogs that have really nice, object drive, but maybe not so much food drive. So this is what we speak of when we talk about drive, right? How much desire does the dog have to work for food? For me, and for instance, I say Chico has extreme food drive. The reason why is I can feed him a full bowl of food, like he'll eat his entire dinner. I'll take him out 5 minutes later and he will train full power for the same food that I just gave him in his bowl. I don't give him treats or anything like that. He literally just works for his kibble. Even after eating a full meal, even after being satiated, even after being full, that dog still will work 110% for the food. So I say he has extreme food drive. If after giving him a meal, he was like, I'll work for it, but that's different. He's like hurting my hand, like how intensely he takes the food. Like when I give him the food, I have to be like, hey, be careful, go easy. If I just go, yeah, buddy, he's just gonna go, and it hurts because he's got sharp teeth and he's really intense, right? So, a lot of people confuse unruliness with drive. There's a lot of dogs that are unruly with toys. They're unruly with food. They're out of control. They don't have any impulse control. They have zero respect for the handler. And people confuse this with drive when in fact it's just unruly behavior. And it takes experience to kind of be able to differentiate, oh, this dog has genetic drive for this thing, whether it's a toy or food, right? And then when we talk about temperament, we're speaking about the baseline character traits of the dog, right? How is he socially? How is he socially? Is he a stable dog socially? Is he a dog that's prone to resource guarding? Is he a dog that's prone to rank dominance? Is he a dog that, can be sketchy socially? Is he a dog, environmentally? How does he respond to the physical environment? Is he, naturally confident in the environment? Or again, can he be sketched out by certain things? So temperament is like baseline character traits, the way that the dog naturally reacts to social situations and environmental situations. The amount of go the dog has in him, right? Like the amount of heart that the dog has. There's a lot of dogs I've run into that don't have that much drive, but they have a strong heart. They have a hard heart. They're willing to, fight for what they want, and they are willing to protect themselves, and they are, they have that. They don't really have a lot of maybe natural drive, but they have that. And conversely, I've met dogs that have a ton of, genetic drive for toys or for food or whatever, but there's nothing in the heart. The dog doesn't really have a heart, right? He's fairly empty, is what we would say. So that's a little bit on that. Hello from Australia. Hello, hello. If all I want is a bark on command to scare off people, will a DDR dog be enough? Probably, because most of those dogs are somewhat nervous socially and environmentally, and barking comes easily to them because it's a wonderful bluffing behavior. So I'm not breeding Hurricane now. No, we tried to breed Hurricane. Unfortunately, she did not take. So yeah, unfortunately, it's 6 months to the next heat. Most likely, I'll probably sell her before the next heat. We'll see. Thoughts on working Rotties? I mean, working Rottweilers is something that sounds fantastic in theory, but the practice of it, it's not so realistic, right? The vast majority, so like I've dealt with a few, I've owned a few Rottweilers, bought and sold them, imported them from Europe, so on and so forth. Done the whole thing, and we train so many Rottweilers here. We always have a Rottweiler in the kennel, or two or three that are training. So like, look, if you want a super Rottweiler, drive, commitment, heart, dominance, power in the work, this is not a dog that's easy to handle. I've never seen a Rottweiler that is what I would call, powerful and strong in the work, that is also not dog aggressive, that will also not test their handler. It just seems that with those dogs with good working quality, and I'm not talking about females, because I've never actually really seen a female Rottweiler that I liked, that had good working quality. I'm not saying they don't exist, obviously they must, but I just personally haven't seen one. But with the males, they were always more dogs that are better for people that know what they're doing. But the people that know what they're doing are going to be playing with the herders anyways, because why are you messing around with a Rottweiler when a herder is going to be able to do it better, to be quite frank with you. They are very powerful dogs. They're very strong, committed dogs if you get a good one. The vast majority of them are not good. They don't have the drive, or they don't have the courage for the work. In many cases, I find that Rotties, I find thankfully more often than not, they lack the drive, right? They lack the drive, but they have the courage. So it can be a nice dog from a personal protection standpoint. But, if you want to do like fancy bite work, recreational bite work, sport, stuff like this, it's always a bit of a struggle with those dogs. So for me, there's a reason why everyone uses German Shepherd and Malinois, and it's not because everybody's stupid, right? My 3-month-old working line German Shepherd barks at every dog in person. Is that normal, or should I do something regarding it? It's very normal. A lot of German Shepherds show reactive behavior. I don't allow my dog to marinate in that behavior. I keep it moving. I don't allow my dog to, engage in these, like it's a puppy. It's very normal, but I don't allow my dog to engage in these unproductive exercises. Come on, buddy, let's go. Come on. Hey, knock it off. Let's go, right? Let me just see if there's any elite members. I am fairly active in our Facebook group, so I am fairly active in my Facebook group, so I know that I answer many questions in there. The elite members group, for those people that are wondering, I'm referring to the people that are in my online training. So I'm just jumping forward here and looking for any. Okay, Maddie, I see you in here. Okay, sorry guys. Should a dog playing with a puppy look the same as a dog playing with a toy? Is that good, or could it indicate the dog sees the puppy as a toy? That's a tough question to answer, because it's, what kind of dogs are we talking about? Or are we talking about 2 Labradoodles? Okay, I'm not particularly worried. Are we talking about, are we talking about some Aussie Shepherds? Okay, I'm not particularly worried. A Lhasa Apso? Or are we talking about, maybe a Pit Bull and something else, or a Rottweiler and something else? the breeds matter, okay? And then it's like, okay, well, what's the intensity level of the behavior? Is it just, listen, dogs play really rough. Like some people are very dismayed by how rough dogs play. And, you know, that you would look at it and you would think, oh my God, like they're hurting each other. But it's just like kind of watching two like boys play with each other. A lot of the time you watch them, you're like, oh my God, like I can't believe they're not upset and they're just having a great time beating each other up. So, you know, it totally depends on it. That's so subjective. So I couldn't speak to that directly, but I would watch it. I'm not a big fan of letting puppies just harass adult dogs unless I really trust the adult dog. You know, I have some adult dogs for sure that, like, I really trust them. And, you know, like I know that the dog's never going to kind of go too far, so to speak, with the puppy. And it's not a concern for me if they check the puppy from time to time if the puppy gets a little bit too out of control. Let's see here. Somebody, IK9 says, Stefan Schaub. Oh, you're quoting Stefan Schaub. I want my dog to bring more grass than ball. Exactly, sir. Very many people talk about drive. Few people have ever actually dealt with drive and on the extreme end of the spectrum. When do you think you'll get more large? Tyler asked, when do I think I'll get more large place boards? I posted my 13-week Malinois on the Facebook page the other day. I posted my 13. Oh, okay. I was like, what, you're selling your Malinois puppy? No. Okay, I totally misunderstood that. You're talking about on the elite members group. I have not ordered any because I have a whole bunch of those 22 by 40 place beds. So I'm going to sell more of those before I order more. Am I planning a spring dog or camp or summer camp? Man, spring, Lorraine, is far away. Probably we will do a spring or summer camp. I'm just not ready yet to confirm that. Where are you located? Love your videos. So we have multiple in-person locations. We have Woodstock, we have Guelph, and we have Ottawa currently. And guess what? We are currently certifying professional dog trainers. So we have a professional dog training course, the Shield Pro Trainer certification course. So those trainers that we certify, which are located all over the United States, we've got some people currently getting ready to certify in the UK. We got people in Canada. Those trainers are certified in the use of our training system. And we're getting the page up and running. We're going to have a web page that specifically lists those trainers. So even if you live out of province, even if you live in the United States and there's not an actual Shield Canine close by, the good news is there's probably going to be a certified pro trainer close by. And the great thing about our certified pro trainers is that you can actually, when you go on the page, let's say you're like, I don't know, you're close to Seattle. I think Isaiah is close to Seattle. So you go and you say, okay, I need someone to train my dog. I'm close to Seattle. So you're going to go on our page and be like, oh, look, Isaiah, he's in Seattle. Let me check this guy out. You click the link, you can see his social media, and then you'll also see video of him actually training his dog and passing our certification course. So you can look at the actual product of what he's able to do and the basis from which we determined he was certifiable, and decide for yourself if that's the person you want to train your dogs. And I think that's how all certifications should be. I don't understand how people are certifying trainers when they just take, you know, the vast majority of certifications, literally this person joined this organization and this person took this multiple choice test or whatever else. Like, you know, it's absolute horseshit. If you can't actually show your training with a dog, you should not be receiving any level of certification in the realm of training dogs. It's absolutely asinine to me. And what a lot of people have tried to do is they've tried to take dog training and make it an academic pursuit, right? Like you go in the classroom and you spend 45 hours watching PowerPoints and taking notes, and then you write a test based on what you just saw. This is not the type of learning that is conducive to dog training. This is the type of learning that, like, look, don't get me wrong. I'm all about theory. I understand theory, you know, from a very theory relating to behavioral science in a very deep way because it's necessary for my profession, but it's not that important, especially for new people. For new people, the most important thing, if they want to become professional dog trainers, is actually training fucking dogs. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. I get it. Look, most certification, most people that are doing these certifications, right, whether it's the CBTD or ABC or whatever fucking certification you can come up with, they are money making operations. You pay them $50, you take the test, you're the certified dog trainer, whatever. You show them your, degree in animal behavior or biology or whatever, and then they're gonna give you take their multiple choice test and give them $120 every year, and you're certified. Like, I get it. I get it from a money perspective, but this is not a legitimate way to certify people. Dog training is an art. Dog training is a craft. It is not something that you can, give any Joe Blow like, hey, take this written test and now you're a dog trainer. It doesn't work like that. They actually have to be on the leash. Believe me, I've actually trained so many dog trainers just to make more people to run my business with, right? And in the years of training dog trainers, I've really learned what works and what doesn't work. And I'm telling you, writing tests does not work. Hands on the leash works. Some people learn really fast. Some people have a natural talent for dog training. Some people have a natural ability. Some people not so much. Some people are hopeless. Like, you put all the time and effort into them, and they're like, you're just like, at the end of it, you're like, man, you've been doing this 2 years and you still suck. Keep working, but let's take it easy here. Like, it's just, for some people, just as with anything, right? As with anything, it's just not their forte. So why did I get off on that track? I don't even know. But yeah, Shield Pro Trainer certification. If you're interested in taking our trainer's course, check it out, shieldk9online.com. I'd like to see more of your horse riding once in a while. I don't know if my horse agrees with you. It's super cool though, man. I love riding horses. My buddies all ride like Harleys and stuff. And I'm like, you guys are pussies, man. I like getting on a stallion and riding that thing. That thing, there, I said, that's probably a little bit more dangerous than riding the Harley. They disagree with me, but I don't know. Why do some of your dogs' decoys use suits and other sleeves only? It depends on where the dog is in the training process. For some dogs, what we're working on that given day or where they are right in that specific time, they need a bite sleeve, that's where they're at. For some dogs, they need a bite suit, it really depends. Do ears down on a dog always mean fear when they're approached by a stranger or when they're approaching a stranger? No, ears down can mean submission, right? It can mean apprehension. I guess you could say those are shades of fear. But you'll watch some dogs when they approach each other, like especially if there's one dog and he's standing like strong, and then the other dog comes to him and he comes like down low and his ears are back and he licks him on the chin and the teeth, right? It's a submissive behavior. He doesn't have to go to that dog. He chose to go to that dog. So he's engaging, obviously, showing submission, showing, hey, I'm not a threat. I'm below you, blah, blah, blah. Some might say that's fear. Some might say that's, just a natural canine behavior when they're engaging with someone or something that they view to be their, superior in the rank order of things. Belgian Malinois are apparently like that, the cliff thing. Absolutely not. Not always. Not always. A lot of people tend to view Belgian Malinois as being extreme drive. I'll tell you this. So when it comes to drive, Belgian Malinois are actually, this is controversial. In my opinion, having trained many Belgian Malinois, having owned many Belgian Malinois, they don't objectively have more drive than German Shepherds, right? Of course, like there's individuals, right? But like, so for instance, for me with Chico is an extreme drive, German Shepherd, and I'll put him up against any extreme drive Belgian Malinois, with the same like level of training and control, so on and so forth. It's going to look very similar. What Belgian Malinois have is they have a neurotic addiction to patterns and drive satisfaction. They're addicted to the process of satisfying their drive, and they're addicted to the process of patterns that end in drive satisfaction more than German Shepherds are. Whereas they all will objectively have the same level of hunt, grip, arousal, pursuit, whatever else, but the Belgian Malinois more into it. So like, for instance, I had a competition dog years ago named Bastion, okay? He was a well-bred FCI registered Belgian Malinois, and we competed in IGP together. And this dog actually did not have insane prey drive. He was an angry motherfucker, but he didn't have insane prey drive. He was like significantly less than Gage and Chico. And yet, if you watch that dog work, you would think he had more drive than Gage, at least. Chico, I don't know. Anybody who watches Chico just sees him vibrating at all times. But, like, that dog did not have close to the drive that Gage or Chico has. And yet, he still performed at the same level because he was so addicted to those patterns, to that drive satisfaction, and to all the faces in IGP, except tracking. He didn't like tracking very much. Also, why are some trained arms and others on legs? I don't like leg dogs. I don't really train my dog's legs too much. I'll show them a leg from time to time if it's a personal protection dog or a police dog or something else, but I don't really spend a lot of time on legs. So for me, I prefer the dog to target the upper body. You really got to watch where you throw a ball with a high drive dog. Absolutely, you do. Let's see here. What else we got? Alicia. How should I decide on what online course to purchase for my rescued 4.5-month-old German Shepherd Pure Mix? The beast displays dominance across the board in all areas. However, he's responding nice to training. Alicia, I would question if your puppy is displaying dominance. Most puppies don't really display dominance. They do display bratty behaviors, but I've very, very rarely seen a puppy actually show dominance. So I would question that. I would say that, your dog is kind of right between being a puppy and then being old enough for my elite off-leash obedience course. That's a 6-month course. Sorry, a course for dogs that are 6 months plus. I would suggest, Alicia, that you jump into my puppy course, and then from there, if you want to pursue, a higher level, take the puppy to adult bundle. The puppy to adult bundle is going to give you everything you want and more. Cheers to you. What up, Haz? What up, Chad? Emma says, my dog kind of grunts when I put the e-collar on, but doesn't appear to have trouble actually breathing. Is it too tight, or is he just complaining? I don't know, Emma. My dog doesn't make any noise other than excited, happy squeals when I pull the e-collar out. So I would check, maybe use a flexi strap on your e-collar if you can. Guys, get the likes up on this thing. There's 140 people watching off and on here, and I got 30 likes. You know what? I never advocate for myself when it comes to this social media stuff. I got to get better at it. If you guys are in here watching and you're enjoying the entertaining content, or you're obtaining some value from what I'm saying, just give me some likes, man. It helps me. Thank you. All right, I see those likes coming in. Thank you, people. I appreciate it. All right, how do we register for your seminars and fees, please? I look on Shield website, didn't see anything. You know what? My social media, I'm not good at putting stuff on my website. Generally seminars and stuff like that, I'll just throw it up on social media, Instagram, Facebook, if I'm going to do one. So if you follow me on there, that's the best bet. I am going to get better, though, on posting on social media. Thanks for the likes, guys. I see it all coming in. Appreciate all of you. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Maddie Kiley. Also, hey, from Nova Scotia. Help us. We're all fucked on this end of the country, LMAO. Just sold my last aquarium today. How are your fish? My fish are great. Right now, I'm not with them right now, but I hope that when I come home, they are all alive. That's always the thing, whenever you travel and you have fish, you come home and you're always just like, man, please everybody be alive. Please everybody be alive. You come in, the first thing I do is I check all my aquariums, and I'm always super relieved when everybody's alive. All right, guys, let me go and check for any more elite members asking questions. I have to get to these people. So Brent, elite member and did a board and train. Our Mal has started a new behavior, barking immediately when he goes out in the yard. Any tips on addressing this? Well, Brent, it sounds like your Mal was one of two things. He's either expecting, he's anticipating reactive behavior. Remember how we said Malinois love patterns. So maybe he goes out in your yard and he gets into fence fights with the dog on the other side of the fence. Maybe there's people passing by your yard that he enjoys barking at. So that could be one thing, or it could simply be that he's just super excited to be outside and this is how he's expressing himself. If you don't like the behavior, what I would do is, if you've taken the dog through our board and train, your dog has the training and the tools in place that you can now correct any behavior you find unpleasant. So what I would do is I would let the dog go outside and I would give him the quiet signal. Okay. So for me, when a dog is making noise, there's a time and a place for noise, right? I don't say to a dog, you must never ever make noise ever, because that's not realistic, right? There is a time and a place for noise. So for me, with a dog like yours, I would simply say quiet when he starts, whoa, 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 quiet, right? And then from there, if he continues to make noise, I would mark no, and I would follow up with a correction the way we showed you how. You can utilize your e-collar if you like, if your dog's been e-collar trained, which I would assume he is based on what you just said. Or you can utilize another form of correction. Hold on, guys, just checking for other elite members. Let's see here. I see all your questions, guys. I will try to get to everybody on here. Okay, elite members, what do you do with in-home aggression? We just keep our dogs separated, except outside they play well together, but in the house our GSD changes. He does not like the other dogs. So here's the thing. Okay, your dog's probably resource guarding the house, and usually the vast majority of cases, and when I say resource guarding the house, it could be resource guarding a specific corner in the house, it could be resource guarding your affection, it could be, his special bed, it could be toys. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of variables in the house. Whenever I have clients that have problems in the house, my prescription is this, okay? Number one, stop allowing the dogs to free roam the house, okay? You need to create structure and boundaries in the house. Think of it as like you have a jail, right? And the inmates are fighting with one another. What's the first thing they do? Lock down, okay? Lock everything down so that you can assess the situation, and then you can start providing freedom again, slowly and on a structured and careful basis, so that you can prevent them from fighting again, or at least identify the triggers that are causing the fighting and work to ameliorate those things. So, okay, what I would do is firstly is, again, lock down, utilize your crates, bedrooms if you have them, whatever else. I teach all the dogs functional obedience. So whenever a client comes to me and they have dogs that are fighting one another, immediately functional obedience training for all the dogs, because functional obedience creates a state of compliance where the dogs become used to looking to you for direction, used to listening to you under all circumstances. It also provides them with a mental outlet and calms them down mentally and physically, which then lead to them being a little bit more peaceful in the house. No more free roaming of the house, state of structure and discipline within the house that you are adjudicating. Is it work? Yes, it's work, but you decided that you were going to have more than one dog in your house. So guess what? Welcome to work, right? And you're going to go slowly from there, where you say, okay, what is it that's causing this? First, let's lock everything down. Everybody's living around each other. You make sure everything's good. And then you figure out what's causing it, and you correct that problem. And that's fundamentally it. I mean, again, this is a live, so it's only so much I can say on here. I don't know your specific situation or anything else, but start at zero and work your way up fundamentally. Ladies, some of you are making me blush. Please don't say these things. And I at least hope you're ladies. This is the internet. This is the internet. You never know. Some of you might not be. All right. My Malinois chewing the ball. How can I stop it? Well, he's going to chew the ball. That's how most dogs enjoy the ball, right? What are you going to do? Take that enjoyment away from him? Like, don't leave him alone with the ball. The ball is for you and him to play with together. You need to build a nice structured play relationship with him. But when they play, oftentimes they'll chew, and then they'll bring it to you and tug, and so on and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that. About the use of the command back with the praise, sit, down, good down. Does it help teaching a behavior? So when you add verbal signals to your training, if the dog understands the verbal signal and what that verbal signal equates to, it can help. Right? So for instance, I'll give you an example. If I'm teaching a dog to sit, right? First, I teach the dog how to sit just manually, like with a leash or with food, help them get to the position. And then what I'll do is, of course, utilize the classical conditioning process. Remember Pavlov and his bells, guys, right? What would Pavlov do? He would ring the bell and he would give the dog food. He would ring the bell and he would give the dog food. And very quickly, the dogs would, when they heard the ding, ding, ding of the bell, they would start to salivate. And then they associated that sound of the bell with food so strongly that they begin to salivate. You utilize the same process to teach a dog how to respond to verbal signals, right? Now I've created the manual behavior that I want of the dog sitting. What am I going to do? Sit, help him. Sit, help him. Sit, help him. Sit, help him. Until I go sit, and he has associated sit so strongly with the act of putting his ass on the ground that he then puts his ass on the ground, right? And this is the process by which you're going to teach him all the verbal signals. Now, one thing I do, so a lot of dogs only have a sit and a down. My dogs have generally 3 commands, sit, down, stand, but most dogs have a sit and a down. And for dogs that have a sit and a down, a lot of the time you'll find that they don't actually know sit and down, they just guess between the two, right? So they'll be like, I think he's probably wanting me to sit, and they'll sit or down. So what I like to do is, for those dogs, I'll proof the dog's knowledge of the verbal signal by going sit, and the dog will sit, right? Or he won't, and I'll help him sit. And then while he's sitting, I'll repeat sit. And if he lies down, sit, and I'll help him sit. And many times when a dog is sitting, if you say sit again, usually they will lie down if they're trying to be obedient, if they're in an obedient mindset, right? Because they're thinking, okay, what's the other thing I know? Well, I sit and I down. So he's saying something. A lot of dogs don't listen. They're just, he's saying something. Let me try and kind of guess and anticipate what he's saying if the dog is in a mindset to be obedient. So sit, and then reinforce the sit, repeat, sit. It's kind of like a game of Simon Says, down, good, down. If you're already in a down, and I say down again, don't get up, stay down, right? So you can certainly do that to proof the dog's knowledge of the verbal signal. My 1-year-old mixed breed Anatolian Catahoula is obsessed with a herding ball. I have tried to use it in training, but he's too excited to play, then learn. Any tips? I do not use play in the very beginning with puppies when I'm trying to teach them a new concept. So if I'm trying to teach a puppy to heel, the last thing I'm going to do is like try to play ball with him, because for me, that's going to take his arousal level to it's kind of like, I don't know, like if you guys have like kids, I always like to use the kids because that's where I'm at in my life right now. I have young kids, right? And they're very easily aroused and excited by just about anything. So I'm not going to like take them to a toy store and then try and teach them how to spell. It's not going to go very well. And that's basically what you're doing. So, for me, I keep the learning. I need the arousal lower in the learning, which is why we generally use food in the training for, the dog to learn new things instead of play. Now, you could take play breaks. That's one thing I like to do, where I'll train the dog manually to do something, and then I'll take a break and just play with him just to build him back up and let him have a fun time, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, and then we'll go back to the repetitious learning. Evening, Melissa, how are you? I'm behind here. I'm trying to answer all these questions. My 2-year-old shepherd loves everyone, strangers, everyone. I don't allow him to interact, only with vets and boarding. Is super friendly dog like this hard to train to just bark and look the part? Well, Denise, you're learning what a lot of people are angry at me for saying, which is that sociability is not, the product of intensive socialization. Sociability, or lack thereof, is the product of genetics. And your dog is genetically social. Now, I've seen some social dogs that'll bark like crazy behind a fence. They're not going to ever do anything, but they can certainly look the part. But if he's predisposed to be social and friendly with everybody, there's not much that you can do to change that. Let's see. Rachel says, I signed up for your Elite Off-Leash program and sent a request to join the Facebook group, but no response. Has been almost a month. Rachel, that's because you're in the wrong Facebook group. Contact my team, info@shieldk9.ca. We had an old Facebook group that we have since left for a number of reasons. We have a new Facebook group with all our elite members on it, all our active elite members on it. So by all means, just send my team an email and they will help you. By heart, do you mean fight drive? No, I do not mean fight drive. Fight drive is like one of these like airy fairy like concepts, like soulmates. Sorry, ladies, soulmates. You know, it's one of these things that people just like say it. You know what I mean? I don't believe in fight drive. I believe in a dog that has a strong nervous system. And when I say a dog that has heart, I mean a dog that's willing to go through adversity in order to get what he wants, right? So if a dog has drive but he has no heart, he's not going to be willing to go through adversity. So if I throw his ball, let's say in like an attic that he has to really climb through, he's not going to bother to chase his ball. Even if he has drive for the ball, he's going to be like, there's too much adversity there, and I'm prone to avoiding adversity. I'm prone to avoiding discomfort. I don't want to go to those hard places to get what I want. This is what I mean basically when I say a dog does not have heart. And I've seen dogs that don't have a lot of drive, but they are willing. They are willing to go to those hard places if they deem it to be in their best interest. And they don't have a lot of cur in them, if that makes sense. Elite already answered that question. Can you explain protection training a dog through reactive aggression when their prey drive is not enough? Absolutely. There's a lot of dogs that I see regularly in my practice where they've been somewhere else and they've been doing the prey and the play game for 6 months, a year, 2 years, sometimes even longer. And the first thing I always do with a dog, I have no problem with prey drive. A lot of people are stupid, right? Like they assume prey drive is like this, like not, they assume that prey drive is not a real drive. Like, oh, I only have defensive dogs, or they'll say stupid things like this, right? When in fact, if you even look at what prey drive it is the drive to hunt, pursue, and kill and consume other animals, right? That's where the drive actually comes from. And then of course we've twisted it and bred it specifically for our purposes so that they'll be good at certain things, everything from herding to finding drugs to biting people, right? So prey drive is a very powerful drive. And when it is there when there's a good amount of it, and especially if the dog has a good nervous system on top of that, you can accomplish anything you want with prey drive. The big problem is a lot of dogs don't have enough prey drive. So one of the tests that I'll do is when someone says, yeah, okay, this is my dog, he has this training, that training, blah, blah, blah. I'll just put on a sleeve, I'll take a stick, I'll just go out there, and I won't even be a big threat or anything. I'll just, show the dog just a little bit of presence, then I'll pop him the sleeve and I'll see what he does. I can feel the dog on the sleeve. Does the dog bite me like, a Girl Scout pillow fight? Or does he bite me like he's trying to take my soul? Right? Those are two very different things, and those are two very different experiences for you if you're in a sleeve or a suit, right? So when I feel a dog that's soft-mouthing me, I know, right away, okay, there's a problem here. So then I'll work the drive a little more. I'll start doing prey things, right? Where I start throwing the toy around and I start making a lot more prey. I start being really active from a prey side. I'm saying, okay, maybe the prey drive just wasn't developed very much. Maybe the dog wasn't shown how to be in prey, because I've run into that. Dogs that, they've just had a lot of really stupid decoy work where the decoy is just putting them into that state of reactive aggression, or trying to anyways. And basically they just create confusion because that's not who the dog really is. In fact, the dog is a prey dog, and what they've done is just created a lack of clarity and confusion. But in many cases, what I find is that the dog just doesn't have that level of prey drive, right? He just doesn't have it. Like case in point, your average Doberman, right? They just don't have that level of prey drive in many cases, right? A Doberman with high prey drive is quite rare, right? The vast majority of them have some prey drive. A lot of them have decent play drive. Play drive is the interaction, between the object and the handler, or the object and the decoy and the dog, right? But they don't have actually like a ton of prey drive, right? And when the drive is not that high, then there's only so far the dog can work there. And if your game is to only train in prey and to reward in prey, but the dog doesn't have a naturally high desire to satisfy himself in that drive, you're fucked, right? So what do you have to do? Then you have to say, okay, well, if I'm really serious about taking this dog to that place where he is actually able, like I'm going to assume your goal is to get a dog who's going to go 110%. If your goal is to just, scrape through a few titles on the sport field, that's one thing. If your goal, and by the way, I see the super chat, I'll get to that. Thank you very much, by the way. If your goal is to get a protection dog, like when someone says, hey, I want my dog to be a protection dog, or I want my dog to be a police dog, or whatever else, and the dog is very uncommitted in the prey, or the dog lacks commitment in the prey, you must come through the reactive aggression, right? Because the reactive aggression is the perception of threat. So you must put the dog in a position where he or she believes that they're in a threatening situation, where their health and safety, obviously not really, but they have to believe, is in a threat, right? In a state of threat. And they then respond to that. And in many cases, the dogs have never been there, and they'll run behind the handler and they'll hide and do all this type of stuff. And you show them how to come out, and you show them how to be aggressive. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This viral video of the pit bull in the little bully in the front of the Dodge Durango. She's like in the front of the Dodge Durango barking at me through the window. I'm pretending to be like some homeless guy panhandling. This video is like viral on like everywhere. There's millions of views everywhere. This is exactly what I did with her. In the beginning, she didn't have very much prey drive. She just didn't really care too much from the prey side. So what did I do? I put her in the corner with the handler, and I taught her to protect herself. It took me like 2 sessions. And then she was like full power forward. And then when you get that reactive aggression and the dog learns how to be forward in that behavior, you then transition it to the prey drive. That was kind of a clumsy way of saying it. I could say it better, but I'm not going to rehash it. I've said it a bunch of times, so. Do you want a 2-year-old Malinois? No, I do not. Lorraine says, what do you feed your Malinois? Mine is 6 months old. She is so sensitive to food. I just feed my dogs kibble. I just feed my dogs Royal Canin kibble. I don't really have a problem. All right, Freddie with the $20 super chat. Thank you, Freddie. Hand feeding my dog drumsticks after second, I offer him a third. He drops his head, looks away, and starts to growl, and saddles back up to me cat style to leg pet him. I say, good boy. He growls deeper. You got some conflict there, Freddie. I would avoid that situation completely. If you're hand feeding your dog, and then he goes into that, it sounds like he probably has some a predisposition towards food aggression. And then he's also feeling conflicted about it because he does love you. I've seen this many times, right? Whether it's being pet or I've seen a lot of dogs that can get nasty over being pet, or they start growling when they're being pet, especially Rotties for some reason. And then I've seen it with the food too, where they'll be okay. And then all of a sudden it'll just trigger something inside of them, and that genetic predisposition to resource guarding just kicks in, and they start feeling a certain type of way. But then they also look at you and you're like, well, that's daddy and I love daddy. So it creates like this conflict where they're like, and then if you try to like say, hey buddy, it's okay, that actually makes it worse. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to look at that situation. Punishing him for it is also the wrong way to go. You have to deconflict that situation. Resource guarding, right? When it comes to when we're talking about food, for instance, the key to dealing with resource guarding effectively, that is associated with food, is deconflicting. Because remember, the true belief the dog has, which is causing him to behave that way, is the belief that you are going to take what he has. It's not a reasonable belief, as the best way to think of resource guarding too is it's like almost like a mental health issue, right? It's like think of it as schizophrenia. They're following me. I know they're following me. And you're like, yeah, Carl, they're not following you, buddy. There's nobody there, but the voice is in the head, right? And they truly believe it. Your dog is the same way if he's a resource guarder, right? So the voices in his head are telling him that you're going to take his food, even though you're actually giving him the food. And then when you try to interact with him to be like, hey, buddy, it's okay, it's making him feel super weird. He hasn't done anything yet, but he could definitely get to the point where he does something, just like a schizophrenic person under certain circumstances may snap and do something regrettable. Your dog is the same. So what I would do is I would give him his food, and then I would send him over to his bed and let him enjoy it. And then when he's done, I'd say, Fred, your name's Fred. I would say, Fido, come here. I'd give him the food, and I'd send him off to the bed, right? And I would not allow him to eat the food around me. I'd let him go away and eat his food and then come back, take the food and go away. I would never try, if my dog gets a little weird and starts looking at me and growling me, I send him, go, place, go away. I don't want to deal with you when you're like that. Go on your place, and he'll go on his bed. And I'll let him chill out there, and I will not try to engage him in affection. I'll just completely ignore him. I'll just treat him like he doesn't even exist. If he tries to come off the bed, hey, get back on the bed, right? You're not going to nice your way out of this thing, right? So it's one of those things where you just have to be smart. You have to deconflict. The more you try to make it better, generally the worse it gets. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just going through the rest of these questions here. Is the herder litter in the house or in the kennel? They are being whelped in the house of one of my trainers. I like to see Ben grow up and get trained. She is so beautiful. Thank you. We are working on her. Cyril Arnold says, question, could you break down some of the differences between Malinois, GSD, CAMPV lines versus other sport training genetic lines? What could you expect a dog that comes from those lines? I always say stop trying to reinvent the wheel, okay? If you want to do a sport, buy the dog for that sport, okay? So the vast majority of people, for some reason, it's a thing that a lot of people do. They say, well, KNPV sounds cool and it looks cool and I like the dogs, but I'm going to be joining an IGP club. And what do? They go and they buy a dog from KNPV lineage and they try to go and do IGP. And then they wonder why it doesn't go very well, or vice versa. I want to do PSA, and then they go and buy a dog that's like from, many, many generations of IGP lines. It's not that it can't work. It's just that it's not ideally bred for that specific task, right? Now, of course, it gets a little bit different when you're looking for tasks outside of like the specific lines. So like obviously all the lines that people are buying from are sport, whether it's KMPV, IGP, French ring, whatever else, and the selection is based on what's good for that sport. When it comes to police work, or something else, protection work, that's when I find you can be a little bit more flexible and it's more goes along with your taste. For me, my preference for personal protection dogs always is German Shepherds. I have certainly sold a fair few Dutch dogs and herders as personal protection dogs. But I prefer, even with those dogs, I'm always selecting the dogs that basically act like German Shepherds. It might look like a Malinois, but it still has, a very stable temperament. It has very, forgiving behavior, so on and so forth, right? I would say this, like, it's hard to make just broad generalizations, but, KNPV dogs, right? These are dogs that tend to have very high prey drive. They tend to have good hardness. They tend to be mixes, right? They're Dutchy, Malinois, German Shepherd mixes. So you see a bit of a spectrum there because obviously the different lines have different types of behavior. With the IGP dogs, I mean, again, what is an IGP? There's so many IGP dogs, right? Like it's such a broad pool to pull from, and different lines have different behaviors. Some can be more reactive, others are more, prone to leaking and extreme prey drive. Others are nice, kind of stable, middle of the road dogs. It's one of those things where it's like, you have to decide, what do you want? I will say this, if you want a family dog, if you want a protection dog, get a well-bred German Shepherd. You're probably going to be happy. If you want a dog for PSA, well, it's very simple. Look at who's being successful in PSA, or French ring, or whatever it is, sport that you want to do. Look at, like, I will go and I will look at the nationals of that sport. I'll say, okay, top 5 at nationals over the last 2 years. What were those dogs? And I'm going to look at the commonality of the kennel name. I'm going to look at the bloodline of those dogs. I'm going to look those dogs up. Yeah, it's going to take time. Yeah, it's going to be work. But guess what? Dogs live for a long time. So better you put a little work up front. You end up with the dog you want. I'm going to look at their dogs and be like, is this what I want? Right? And then if I don't want that, do I want to even do PSA? Right? And then the same thing. I go to IGP. I'm going to look who's in the WSV, who's on the world team for my country, and I'm going to look at their dogs. And usually you will see a certain commonality when it comes to those dogs' bloodline and those dogs' behavior, right? So Look at the job. Forget about the lines. Forget about what has what and what does what. Look at the dog for the job that you want, right? Is more drive more difficult to handle? Of course it is. Of course it is. It's scary if you don't know what you're doing. Sometimes it is scary if you do know what you're doing. Hi, Has, I'm writing my high school senior year research paper about why e-collars have a place in dog training. Do you have any favorite academic studies that show the validity of using them? Yes, there is a very good academic study when it comes to e-collar training. It is, man, if you go to my shock collars video, like I have a video where I did I call it the scientific study on shock collars. I believe in the description of that video, I posted a link to this study. This study was conducted like, I think 20 years ago, maybe even longer, where they took, no, it was 20 years ago, I believe, where they took, it's actually probably like the best study in dog training I've ever actually seen. And I'm not saying that because, they found what any study that actually follows the rules of science and common sense would find. But they took 3 groups of police dogs. These dogs are all bred similarly. These dogs, they were all herders, I believe, and they were working in like different police forces. And they took 3 groups, and one group they trained positive only. The second group they trained with a pinch collar, and the third group they trained with e-collars. And they picked a very simple exercise. The exercise was the handler is going to walk out onto a field. There's going to be a decoy that runs out about like halfway down the field and just yells. And when the dog goes for the decoy, the handler needs to be able to call the dog off the decoy, right? And they, I think, gave them like a month to train this, and they compared all 3. And what they found was the positive only dogs, none of them were successful because all of them wanted the decoy more than they wanted the treat or the ball or whatever it was. None of them were successful. The pinch collar dogs, some of them were successful, but they showed a little more stress, like because they were measuring the stress levels. And then the e-collar dogs were the most successful, and they showed the least amount of stress. Go figure, right? But this study was, I think it's called comparing something about the quitting signal. The quitting signal, that's what they called it, the quitting signal. I would just Google dog training study, quitting signal, something like that, or just check out my YouTube video. I think it's in there. Very good study, though. Let's see here. I posted videos of my German Shepherd puppies to my YouTube channel because I haven't gotten any calls. How's the training world doing in the economy? I'm nervous. The training world? Oh, you want to talk about dog training in the economy? Oh, man. People are scrambling. People are scrambling. You know why? Because during COVID, it was, people were living in a dreamland, right? Anybody could go and be a dog trainer and make 6 figures in a year when it was COVID, because people were wild, People were buying dogs everywhere. People were paying $5,000 for mutts on Kijiji and Craigslist, right? It was a dream world back then. And, a lot of people got the wrong impression about how dog training works and how much money you can make training dogs, especially if you're just, the new guy on the block. So there's a lot of dog trainers that, and have ended up out of business recently because the market has definitely slowed down significantly. There's a lot of dog trainers that, have had to curtail their business or find side hustles or whatever it is. But that's the reality, the cream will rise to the top, and those that have, planned and prepared themselves, those for which this is a deep and abiding passion, for those, who really understand, the art and the craft of dog training will persevere, and those who do not will go on to other things. And that's the reality of the world. Let's see here. I'm a huge fan of yours and Nino from STS K9 Methods and Techniques, but I'm indecisive on which program to buy. How does your program differ from STS K9? All love on both sides, bro. Ryan, I tell you what, Brian, this is not going to be the moment that I talk down Nino from STS K9, but we do very different things. And he does his thing really well, and I do my thing really well. What you have to decide is whether the thing I do is for you, or the thing he does is for you, because those are two different things. And I strongly suggest you look at what he's producing, you look at what I'm producing, and you decide what's reasonable for you. Let's see what else you got here. Aloha. Aloha, Gary. Very much appreciate your YouTube intros and love your training methods. They just make sense. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate you. Let's see what else we got. 9-month-old German Shepherd gets way too excited when around people. I've been wary about using too harsh of corrections around people so I don't accidentally make her a human reverse. Do I amp up the correction? Justin, I would say, what is your 9-month-old German Shepherd supposed to be doing? Just because your German Shepherd is excited and you correct the dog, do you think your dog's going to understand that they're being corrected because they're overexcited? You know, this is the thing. I will always make sure my dog has a job, right? And that doesn't mean like, oh, you have to sit all the time or you have to heel next to me all the time or anything like that. But it can be as simple as don't pull me on the leash. But if you're just going to go around correcting your dog for things, you know, just like being generally excited, a lot of the time your dog's not going to know why that's happening. And it's just going to create conflict, insecurity. It's not going to make your dog averse to people. You know, she's not going to make that suspicious association. It's very unlikely anyways. She's just going to be like, I'm being corrected because there's people around. But she'll be very unclear about why she's being corrected. So make sure if you're going to correct her for something, it's very clear why she's being corrected. And I would say that if you're correcting your dog and your dog's not responding, then you're not really correcting your dog, are you? Did you know there's footage of you at a website called Harrison K9 who sells dogs for $230K? Wow. Well, I hope he shoots me some money. I have actually seen that video. You know, I'm sure that whoever he hired to make that video decided, hey, you know, let me pull some video from, you know, a guy that, you know, looks like he knows what he's doing in order to help this guy sell his dogs. And I guess I should take it as a compliment. But yeah, I'm aware of it. I haven't bothered to get after it yet. Jeff, elite member, greetings from Michigan. What are your thoughts on microchipping your breeding or protection dogs? Every dog I have is microchipped, Jeff. Every dog that leaves me is microchipped. I think it's very important. And if you want to register your dogs, they need to be microchipped. Prestige Paw Academy Dog Training. Rock on has. I appreciate your time. I can't wait to sign up for the Pro Trainer course. Got to save up the dollars. Hope you had a good work trip. Thank you, my friend. I am still tripping. Do I sell sleeves? No, I do not. Our Staatsmarkt, I should say properly. Are Staatsmarkt dogs mainly Czech or DDR or a mixture of both? They are neither. King Terra's demise. Thoughts on dogs sharing the same large crate? Bad idea. Your dog should have his or her own space. Let's see what else we got here. My dog is beginning to respect the leash and barely goes to the end of it due to the prong pop, but he does trot in a circle around me now. It's pretty annoying. What should I do? Well, number one, block the dog from circling you. You are not the sun, and he is not a planet in the solar system. So definitely put an end to that. You know, force him to just kind of stay to one side. He doesn't have to be right next to you, but don't allow him to just circle you ad nauseum. And then, you know, make sure that if the dog is pacing around you but not pulling on the leash, it means the dog has energy. The dog wants to do something, so give him or her something to do. James Rogers, elite member, dog has gone through online courses, rescue course, and is doing awesome. You took the rescue bundle, good. However, in public, my dog will attempt to flee but won't pull on a leash and will legit walk backwards whining. Well, how would your dog attempt to flee, James, if he's not pulling on the leash? I mean, usually when dogs attempt to flee, they're trying to drag you somewhere. If you mean he's like walking backwards whining, just keep him moving forwards, you know. It sounds like your dog has a lot of nervousness in public. So what you need to do is you just need to be firm, move the dog forward. It's not about being, so let me make it clear, like with dogs that are fearful or nervous, it's not about being hard on them for making mistakes, but it's also about not allowing them to make mistakes. So for me, if a dog was nervous, I wouldn't let that dog drag me around because that's only going to make them more nervous, especially if it's a flight behavior, the dog's running to the end of the leash and trying to escape. I won't be angry with them, but I will pop them off the end of the leash, and then I'll just kind of keep them moving with me. But I won't be super hard on them for it. I'll just keep them moving. I won't let them run, and I won't allow my dog to walk backwards or anything like that. So James, I just keep the dog moving, keep the dog calm. Take a video of it, post it in the group. I kind of want to see what you're talking about. Myself and some of the other alumni in the course will definitely be able to answer your question when we see it there. Zinc 33 Elite. One of my dogs has sensitivity to a certain tonal beep of a kitchen gadget. It freaks her out. She won't take food. She doesn't hide. She shakes pants and follows me for a couple hours. Stop her from following you. Send her to her place the second it happens. Run the beep, send her to her place. Run the beep, send her to her place. And teach her that that is the correct solution to that problem. And then ignore her. Again, with things like this, like with fear and stuff like this, if you try to like, hey, it's okay, it just makes it worse. Ignore them. It's the same for kids, by the way. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that to your kids. Hi from Mexico. Hello, Antonio. Art Tornado has, what do I do if somebody's dog without a leash barking and running to me when I walk my dog on the leash? How do I de-escalate the situation if the other owner is not around or far? Well, Art, if you have excellent obedience on your dog, it's not hard. What I will do, I will tell my dog down, okay? And then I will go and intercept the other dog. My dog will lie down. I will go grab the other dog. I will go block the other dog. Usually what the other dog tries to do is completely ignore you and just beeline for your dog. And I say, no, 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 no. I'm your problem now. Forget about him. I'm the big boy in the jungle now. You have to worry about me, right? Down, put my dog in it down. I go and I deal with that. If you have good functional obedience, as taught in the Elite Off-Leash Obedience course, you will have a dog that will lie down and do that. If there's a situation where you are not able to intervene. So once I was tracking my dog, he was 30 feet ahead of me on the line, and he was he was tracking. And I was tracking by a house that there's like usually nobody there, but all of a sudden their dog ran out, and it was like a female German Shepherd. I could see like all skinny and snipey, and like, you know, she wasn't going to do anything, but she came out, rah, 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 right? And my dog's 30 feet ahead of me. I told him down, he lay down, okay? And I saw she's gonna keep coming and they're not gonna try and stop her. So then I said, break. So he broke, he got up, and they met each other, and, you know, he kind of sent her on her way, and then we resumed the track, you know, and that's kind of what it was. In one case, I've spoken about this before, I had a neighbor who had an unruly Great Dane that liked to lunge out the door. He was a big black dog, like almost 180 pounds, a big motherfucker this dog was. He was an intact, and he had attacked, I was walking my melon wall once by their house, and he had attacked my dog, came out the door, attacked my dog. And like, it was a shit show. And then the second time I was walking by, and what do you know? This asshole comes running out the door again, and the owner again, oh, I don't know what to do. The dog comes out. I grabbed my dog by the collar, I put him next to me, and I applied my boots to that dog until he left my dog alone. And all of a sudden the owner found the wherewithal to run up and get his dog out of there. You know, it is what it is, right? Like, you have to protect your dog, you have to advocate for your dog, and you have to make sure that your dog is in a situation where he is not made helpless by your actions. I see you teach a dog healing. I see you teach a healing dog to sit automatically when you stop. I do not always teach that. I just expect to stop and wait for the command to continue. What's your thoughts? Do what you want, my friend. It's completely up to you. It's subjective, right? How would you ever make a sensitive dog focus? She's all over the place, and if she heard no too much, shut down. There's no such thing as shut down. Shut down is simply a response to pressure that is a quitting response. Every dog has different responses to pressure. Some dogs have flight, some dogs have fight, some dogs have freeze. Freeze is often termed as shutting down, right? That's not possible if you're training in a way that makes sense. Like, if I was to say, okay, we're walking this way, and the dog's like, no, I don't want to walk this way, and froze and was like, I'm not moving. I was like, well, you are, and we're going, and I'll pull you, and everything, oh no, and I'll just keep pulling you and releasing the pressure and pulling you and releasing the pressure until all of a sudden you're moving. And the dog learned that when she froze, When the pressure of walking, and believe me, for some dogs, this is a thing, when the pressure of walking, maybe in a scary place or whatever, occurred and she froze, it didn't work because the pressure continued until she chose to move forward, right? So it's the same thing, but it doesn't sound like you really need focus, right? How would you make your dog just doesn't know what to do, right? And you need to give your dog something to do. Loose leash walking. My loose leash walking course is good for dogs like this. Um, you know, Again, a lead off leash obedience. Carlo. Oh, you're the guy with the dogs fighting in the house. The problem is the toys and the food in the house. They are all place trained. So do I just allow one dog off a place at a time and work from there? No, you take away all the food and toys in the house, and you only give it when you're there to supervise and under control. Let's see here. How do I stop my dog jumping on me when I try to teach her to heel outside? Whenever we are inside, I do it with treats and she does it perfectly. And I do it with a ball and she only goes into position but doesn't follow. Yeah, it sounds like your training system doesn't make sense to you or to the dog. So you need a training system that makes sense. I'm not going to run you through hours of like literally my videos, my step-by-step instructional videos on healing. It's like multiple hours, whether it's focus healing or a functional heal. I'm not going to be able to run you through that on a live, obviously. I suggest you get into my online courses or get into somebody else's online courses. But for God's sakes, have a plan, because you don't have one right now, which is why it's not working. The other major problem with what you described there is that all your training is completely based on your dog's motivation to do what it is that you want her to do. You taught her for treats and you're teaching her for a ball. Okay, but what if she doesn't want your treats and what if she doesn't want your ball, which outside is clearly the case? You're up shit creek without a paddle. So you better learn to swim, baby. Canine Avengers Dog Rescue. So what, in your opinion, is the most desirable drives for a patrol dog, and what are the most desirable drives, undesirable drives in a patrol dog? Any kind of dog aggression is undesirable. Any kind of reactive behavior towards humans is generally undesirable. For a patrol dog, you want a dog with a strong nervous system, a decent level of sociability, and for me, as high drive as you can get. High hunt, high prey, high possession. Now, of course, the reality is a lot of green handlers aren't able to handle that level of dog, especially when paired with a strong nervous system. And hopefully not too much dominance. Like, we don't want patrol dogs that are super dominant, just again, because it's going to create all sorts of handler issues. You'll get dogs that have strong nervous systems, and variable level of drives that also are extremely dominant. I know it's a little bit variable, right? Like, it's a little bit like, what has you just threw another wrench in the gears, so to speak? Yeah. Like, for instance, my buddy Carson, he's got his new IGP dog. He loves this dog is a consummate asshole. It's funny. I was like watching him train his dog Rocco last week, and I was watching the dog work with him, and I'm like, your dog doesn't like you, right? He's like, yeah, I know. He's a complete asshole. And it's not, the dog was like, if you watch the dog working with him, you'd be like, that dog loves him. But the dog just likes working with him because Carson understands him so well. Carson understands the mindset of the asshole when we're talking about dogs. And when I say asshole, I say so in an endearing and loving way, right? Because me and him like dogs like that. The dog just likes engaging in certain behaviors. He likes resource guarding. He likes pushing the handler around. He likes just being a jerk and getting his own way. So of course he must not do that in order to be successful in the game of IGP, but there is a way to train in which you are satisfying those internal urges that type of dog has. Dog doesn't even have super high drive, but he is a motherfucker, okay? So you don't always need high drive to be a motherfucker, but for a patrol dog, I don't want dogs that are super dominant, because the vast majority of handlers are not going to know how to train their way around that. I don't want dogs that, are sketchy. I just want nice, good dogs, not extreme dogs, if that makes sense. So I would say rank dominance is bad in a patrol dog. Have you ever seen the bark fence technique to teach barking? If so, what do you think? I've never had to use a fence to teach a dog to bark. You know, people do all sorts of weird shit to teach dogs to bark. I don't find it all that difficult. I'll use tables if I need to, but that's about it. You know, the reality is the vast majority of dogs have a preference. Okay, so if we're talking about working dogs here, okay, the vast majority of dogs will have a preference of either barking or biting, right? And as a decoy, it's your job to know what that dog's preference is, and it becomes very apparent relatively quickly. And then you use the dog's preference in order to maximize that dog's potential in whatever behavior you're specifically working on. How do I stop my dog from jumping on me? Oh, sorry, I already answered that one. Chief Rocco, big fan. Keep it up, bro. Just got an Amstaff, 8-week-old. He's 11 weeks now. Been watching you ever since. I have the sport bundle. Will you add the send out and the blinds? Yeah, I'll eventually get to that. I just haven't had a dog that I'm teaching that right now, Costas. So, you know, I like to show these things with dogs that actually don't know how to do them, and then I teach them. I joined the Patreon. Was happy to find Kevin videos. Thank you. Shayna, yeah, Patreon guys, for those of you, if you get on my Patreon, if you don't want to jump into the online courses, or you already are in the online courses, you want something a little more, Patreon is that place that I'm posting like a lot of videos that didn't really fit into an online course, or videos that I just had of certain dogs like Kevin, dogs like Mace, so on and so forth, where I took video of the beginning things that I did with those dogs, the beginning training, and I just posted them on there. So I got removed from the Facebook group, and I emailed info at Shield Canine, but never got a response. Email them again and put in the subject Facebook group. They should definitely respond to you. Have you saw protection dogs worldwide from the UK? Selling dogs worldwide. Has quite an array of breeds: Corsals, Rotties, German Shepherds. I think I've seen him on the internet. Good for him. Alicia asked me, biggest mistake people make when socializing their puppies with small children. I don't know that it's a mistake, but a lot of people just think that if they allow their puppy to constantly play with small children, the dog will be good with small children. I don't find that to be the case. I do think it is important, though, that puppies see small children. I've certainly seen dogs that have not seen little people before, and the dog's like totally fine around normal, like sized adult people. But then when they see like a little child walking around that's like their height, you'll see the dog absolutely freak out just because they've never seen that before. So I think it's important to expose them. Obviously, you don't want anything bad to happen. But other than that, you know, just, you don't need to do it a lot. Just do it a little bit. Make sure the dog's comfortable and move it, keep it moving, you know. Doberman, Mally, Schnauzer. Also, I wonder why they just put on Good Show for videos. Seem to be popular with some high-profile clients. Well, Ronan, I'm not going to comment on other people's business. I'm not going to comment on the quality of what other people sell. I know what I sell, and I know what's good enough for me. And all I'm going to say is the vast majority of what's available in the market might satisfy, you know, the I lose a lot of clients. I lose a lot of protection clients. Like, people call me, they want a protection dog. And I can tell they want me to tell them some cool stories. Like, I want this dog, and I want him to fuck anybody up that comes through my door, but I want him to be good with my family, and I want him to be good with the maid that comes over, and oh yeah, my parents visit 3 times a week, and he needs to be good with them, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they want King Kong, but they don't want King Kong to do King Kong shit. Now, I know they talk to any number of other people. They will happily tell them, oh yeah, this Doberman that can barely suck on a sleeve, right? Yeah, he's gonna do it all. He's gonna protect you. He's gonna be great with everybody. He's gonna, you know. And the reality is, listen, I've said this before. I'll say this again. I was working once with a guy in Europe. Like, I've been working with him for years. I haven't bought dogs from him in a while, but I've been working with him for years. And like, he knows I buy these dogs as protection dogs. I buy the dogs, I train the dogs, I sell the dogs. I buy green dogs. Like, most of the protection dog guys, a lot of them actually buy washed up sport dogs, because the dogs already have like tons of training, and they can already kind of do the faux protection. So you can easily just buy them. Oh, look, he's got a title, and you flip them and you sell them. Hey man, it's their hustle. They want to do it, they can do it. I'll buy a sport dog, but it better be a fucking good one, right? But that's neither here nor there. So anyways, he goes to me, he's like, man, you know, this guy and that guy down in the States, they're buying these dogs that won't even like bite, or like, you know what I mean? Like they won't even bite. Like they don't want these dogs that you're buying. Why? Because I would always bitch to him about the quality of the dogs, because this was during COVID and I couldn't get over there to look at the dogs. So the dogs would come here and I would like, what the fuck is this, man? Like this dog is not good and this dog has this problem. And I'm just like that. You know what I mean? I'm very, very picky, right, when it comes to the dogs. And he's like, why do you care about all this stuff? It's like this guy down in the States, he's buying dogs that aren't even half of this and he's selling them for 100K and 200K and blah, blah, blah. I say, yeah, that's him. You know, I know that's what he's doing. I know that's what the other guy's doing. And I'm not saying, by the way, that guy you mentioned, I don't know him, right? But the reality is most protection dogs are completely faux dogs. Like they are completely faux dogs. They are chewing on bite equipment half-heartedly at best, okay? But the people that are buying them have no clue because they're not dog people and they don't know, right? Now, I could follow in that pattern. I could be like, well, they don't know and I can just sell them whatever. But, you know, I personally would not sleep well doing that. So for me, there's a balance, right? Some people take it too far, right? Some people are freaking retards. Like they take it way too far and they think the dog has to be like this freaking maniac assassin that'll just smoke anybody at the drop of a hat. And the reality is, for most people, you want that dog in the middle. I don't know about those other guys that sell dogs, but personally, I've had a few clients actually have to use their dogs. So I know that it's possible that they might actually have to use them. A lot of people are like, oh, they'll never use the dog anyway, so who cares? Just sell them whatever. For me, that's not my outlook, because I know, anyways, even if they don't use the dog, who am I to sell them something that isn't what they actually want? So getting back to my point, I lose a lot of clients because I won't tell them cool stories. They'll want, oh, tell me 110%, this dog, he's going to do this, this, and this. And I'll be like, he'll probably do it, but he's never actually bitten anybody for real yet. I think he will. The training looks good. Like, you know, everything, he's showing me all the things that I want to see. But he's also this, this, and this thing that you wanted. You can take him to Starbucks. Your wife can, you know, put him in the back of her Urus, and the nanny can fucking take him for a walk and not worry he's going to go kill somebody or kill her, you know? So you got a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? So it's kind of like saying I want like a high performance car, right? Like I want to drive a McLaren 720S, but I also want to take it to do my grocery shopping and I want to take my family for trips, you know? McLaren 720S is a cool car, but you're probably not going to be able to do all those things with that car. That car is for a very specific purpose, and dogs are the same, right? So we're trying to sell people Cadillac Escalades, if that makes sense. Best of both worlds. Or a Urus. We're going with the car analogy. I rescued a 3-month-old Malinois and have been training her. All is going well, but she refuses to walk on a leash. She does an amazing sit-stay as soon as I put her on lead. Treats, collars, types don't matter. For sure it matters, Jenna. You're saying something the size of a teddy bear is telling you no? Put the leash on and go for a walk. What is no? Like, it's what, 15 pounds? She's going, you're going. You go, she goes. I don't want to go. You're going. My 2-year-old son said no to me today about something. And guess what? He ended up going because he's 20 pounds and I'm 200, right? It's the same for your dog, right? No. What do you mean no? All right. New to dog training. At 64, I've been training in Aussie. It's the first dog training ever. I follow Robert Cabral, Crone, and a couple of others. After weeding out some crackpots, I have just, sorry buddy, your thing cut off. I believe that is the study you're talking about, posted link, Confident Canines. Awesome, Confident Canines, thank you very much. Oh, look at that, Maddie. You're talking about a pit bull. She's talking about that pit bull that was, she's talking about the older dog that's playing rough with the puppy. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be letting my AM staff get a little too rough with the puppy. Like, I would limit that down a lot. People say research the dog's pedigree, but when all you see is dogs with BH or IGP titles, that still doesn't tell you truly about the dogs in the pedigree. How do you research the pedigree? Very simple, Donovan. Titles are one thing. Titles mean something, but they don't mean everything. And BH means absolutely nothing. I could go get a BH with half the pet dogs in my kennels tomorrow, if I wanted to. I'd be absolutely upset if they did not pass the BH. But you know, I would say you have to, like, titles again, they mean something, but they don't mean everything. You have to go and actually see those dogs, like dogs that are meaningfully competing. There's tons of videos of them. You know, like, think about it. Like, even my dog, which I don't breed, Gage Farm Shield, right? Put Gage Farm Shield in Google, see how many videos pop up of him. Any dog that's meaningfully competing or has meaningfully done something in the sport of IGP, you Google their name, there's going to be tons of videos of them. You can see the work and determine for yourself if that's a dog you want. Started following you and I'm looking at your online courses for help. Thanks for all your great work. I appreciate you. Awesome. Aussie. We have a few Aussies in the house. Can you explain what forward conditioning is? It sounds like baffling with bullshit to me, you know? You have to understand that, like, a lot of dog trainers like to make up, you know, certain phrases using, you know, slightly longer words and chaining them together. And this then, of course, lends credence to whatever it is that they're trying to describe, which is usually actually quite a simple process that you could explain in plain English in such a way that the average person, when hearing the phrase, could understand exactly what you're talking about. But when you say something like forward conditioning, it sounds like you're super smart and you got super cool training, and you know, someone should definitely pay money to do whatever it is with you, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Are you still looking for kennel techs? No, I'm sorry, Serge, I am not. Apex Canine, evening evening Apex Canine. Carol Curto, hello from Hades and Mama Bear. Hello, Carol. I hope Hades is doing well. What do you do when working with an actual aggressive dog that wasn't extremely food or toy motivated? I utilize this wonderful thing called negative reinforcement, and I use it proficiently and extensively. And oftentimes in the beginning, when the dog isn't motivated, after a while of learning that the training is going to occur whether or not they're motivated, they become motivated. Got a 15-month-old Malinois that is fine walking past strangers but gets aggressive if approached. Example, the vet. I correct for it but think I'm not being clear enough. Any tips? Yes, you must be clear in your correction that the behavior is not acceptable, but also the dog still believes that he or she is going to be messed with. So there's levels. If the dog has the perception that there is going to be an unwanted social interaction, and that is what is creating the reactive behavior that you're dealing with, of course, in the beginning, we neutralize the dog by not allowing these interactions to happen, and then, of course, correcting the reactive behavior, which then starts to calm the dog and neutralize the dog socially. But then if we want to take it a step further, which I've had to do with my personal dog, Gage, he's very much like that, where it's like, okay, there's going to be a vet check, right? Like, I had to do a vet check for my dog sport. So guess what I did? I threw him up on a table and we practiced it. I would hold him. They would come, we'd do like a little minimal thing. They'd grab his tail or something. I'd reward him. If he got reactive, hey, knock it off. And then I'd calm down, good boy. All right, reward him. Just take him through it. Just desensitize him to it. Hey, look, they're gonna grab your paws. They're gonna grab your tail. I'm gonna lift your lips and show your teeth to the vet. We're gonna look in your ears. And you just slowly desensitize the dog to that until they learn that they have to put up with it. They're probably never gonna love it, but they'll certainly get to the point where they will accept it. Anthony Serrano, Elite Gold member, have a bully that doesn't respond to the prong collar at all in the beginning stages of loose leash walking. I already trained my presser with the e-collar. Should I use slip E? Absolutely, Anthony. You already have the answer to that question. I'm glad you figured it out. That's what happens with our Elite Gold members. They get so smart, they answer their own questions as they ask them. Hi, have you trained a Black Russian Terrier? Have you seen them compete in IGP at all? I've seen just about everything compete in IGP. Again, the right dog for the right job. Do you think good working line Doberman originals originate from certain places? Notice the trend of people who swear to the best working dog they ever had got them from Serbia. I think, LOL. No. Dobermans are unfortunately just, for the most part, a dumpster fire. That's the reality. Hey, Has, thanks for doing these lives. When I heal my German Shepherd past other dogs, she gets low to the ground and almost does this creepy stocky crawl. Any advice on changing this picture? Yes, she must become more active in the healing, and you can create that with a little bit of anticipation from the reward and not forcing her to stay in the heel as long when you do the pass. How's it going? New York. New York in the house. Man, okay, guys. It is 9 a.m. p.m., not a.m. I'm going to jump ahead here. I'm going to have to, unfortunately, not answer all of these questions. Otherwise, I'm not going to spend any time doing anything else tonight. But I'm glad this live is really interesting for a lot of people. That's good. Carol says, Hades is perfect for me and my family. He and my German Shepherd have become good friends. Glad I listened when you said this was the dog for me. Thank you. Carol, my big thing, especially when people buy dogs from me that are well trained for lots of money, it's all about picking the right individual for that person. And sometimes the color of the dog or the breed of the dog or, the type of dog wasn't what they had in mind, but I know based on what they're telling me that this dog has those character traits. It's all about matching character traits to the person. I find that's the most successful way to sell dogs to people is you match the character traits to what they say they want in the dog. All right, guys, I'm just looking and making sure that there are no elite members that I'm leaving high and dry here. Cocky as king, King Kong shit. Not gonna lie, watching your content about how-to protection dog has ruined most other dog training for me, LMA. No, now I can spot a lot of the BS, so I can't find much that impresses me. Well, there's still a lot of impressive training out there, but it's good to be able to determine the right from the wrong, Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to check out now. It's late. But it was awesome talking to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. And check out my online course at shieldk9online.com. I'm going to put my Patreon link also in the description below so you guys can get access to Patreon. You guys all have a blessed weekend.